Hello. Today's stories come from r/am I the jerk. We have 4 stories today that were way more controversial than I expected, except the last one. That one is just hilarious for other reasons we will get into when it comes up. Let's start with our first story. Am I the jerk for canceling a check of $12,000 that I wrote for my infertile friend for her next IVF cycle over a joke? I'm a 35-year-old female, and I'm infertile. My ex husband and I tried everything to have kids, but it just never happened. He divorced me, went and married someone younger who was able to give him a kid, and from what I gather, they're expecting a second child together. It hurts like heck seeing someone else have what I couldn't. I get frustrated with myself sometimes, and with family blaming me for basically everything. I turn to my friends for support, especially Alessia. She's in the same infertility boat as me, but she and her husband are currently trying IVF, hoping it'd work. Alessia asked me for help to pay for her upcoming IVF cycle. I agreed to write her a check of $12,000. I really wanted to help her, and the money came with no strings attached. I wrote the check and gave it to her last week. She was very appreciative of it. The very next day, I got a sudden message from a mutual friend, Carol, with a screenshot of the conversation she had with Alessia. Turns out, she and Alessia were talking about the next IVF cycle, and Alessia said she hoped the cycle would work because, quote, she didn't want to end up divorced and having her husband go marry someone younger and have a baby with them, and another one on the way, while she's alone and without a family at 35. She's 32. I was stunned and hurt. I knew she meant me here, but I did not confront her. I simply contacted my bank and canceled the check. In the evening, Alessia called to ask why I canceled the check, and I told her. She went nuts, saying she didn't mean it that way and that she thought that this was somewhat an inside joke between desperate, infertile women. She came over with her husband the next day begging I write another check, but I refused. An argument ensued, and her husband thought I wasn't being supportive of her life when she supported me throughout my struggles. She left crying, and we haven't talked since then. Her husband keeps reminding me, while repeatedly calling Carol a toxic snake, of the date of the next cycle, saying they can't have it after I took the money that was supposed to pay for it back. Some friends think I'm being oversensitive. Carol's on my side, telling me to tell them to go kick rocks, but I feel so bad about it. What I've done might just damage our 15 years of friendship. Maybe I shouldn't have canceled it, but I just felt so offended by what she said about me and how she basically mocked my unfortunate circumstances. So, Reddit, am I the butthole? Update. Hello again. And wow, thank you so much for all the support and compassion that you've shown me. I could feel it through my screen. I have decided I'm going to put some distance between me and Alessia. Things have been rough lately, and I think that distance is what I need right now, especially for my mental health. After reading some comments here, I now feel less heavy and more relieved. Doesn't change the fact that I'm still feeling completely and utterly shocked by Alessia's behavior. It's a shame having to come to the realization that even those who are supportive of you the most could cause as much harm. Oh, and by the way, I sent Carol a link for this thread to see what her thoughts were, and she just laughed. She was kind of angry I used her real name, but relieved that I used a throwaway. Haha, LOL. What kind of person accepts such a generous gift while simultaneously making such rude remarks behind the giver's back? I don't think OP should feel bad at all. Definitely not a jerk. At least it sounds like Carol has her back. Let's check out the comments. It should come as no surprise that most of them roasted Alessia. Mean Macaroni said, "Not the butthole. Let the friends calling you too sensitive open their checkbooks." Cordial Keen said, "Yes. And what if she is too sensitive? Can a woman be oversensible about her own trauma?" She didn't even apologize. Knight of Forest Wild added, "Tell everyone Alessia and Hubs are being too sensitive about her canceling the check." Oh, what is the point? Said, "Holy crap, not the butthole. $12,000? No strings attached? Yeah, I would be kissing your butt. You would be my future kid's godparent. I would wake up grateful for your existence every freaking day. Bashing you to another friend behind your back? No. I would be out there calling your praises from the rooftops. Alessia doesn't deserve your friendship, let alone your money." Armchair Detective added, "Right? I'm glad OP found out in time to cancel the check. But I also know what a punch in the gut it is to realize you've been used. It's just awful, if not worse than being successfully swindled. Just Fujoshi said, glad Carol had the decency to tell OP as well. OP should treat herself to a nice vacation to get away from the BS. Status pattern shared, not the butthole. She damaged 15 years of friendship. She used you as the butt of an inside joke, despite knowing how hard this was for you. She hasn't taken any accountability for her wrongdoings, and her partner are blaming Carol for what she said. Their behavior afterward shows no remorse, just bullying of you and Carol. Manipulation via guilt tripping. Your friends can hand over their cash since they think you're oversensitive. You're not. Bullies always blame the victim, and it seems like you know a lot of them. Our second story gets into some family drama. It's titled, Am I the Butthole for Expecting My Son to Share His Room? Background. My husband and I bought a 3-bedroom house a few years ago, shortly before the panini. We, of course, took the master bedroom, and the other 2 bedrooms went to our children, then 12-year-old female and 10-year-old male. We put a very nice double bed in the larger room and a single bed in the smaller room. We told them both that they could choose their rooms, but whoever ended up in the larger room may be asked to share or relocate for visiting family members, while whoever ended up in the smaller room would have it to themselves always. We almost never have family over. Hubby and I are both only children, and our parents are in other provinces. So we were surprised when our older daughter chose the smaller room and our younger son chose the larger room. But okay, they worked it out between themselves. Both seemed happy with the choice, so okay. And it has remained that way for a couple of years. Now, we have a 4-day weekend coming up. My kids are now 15-year-old female and 12-year-old male, and my mother decided to come down to visit. Of course, we told her, okay, my husband and I, as we hadn't seen each other in a while. And I told our son, with the larger room and bed, that Grandma would be here for a few days and would be using his bed. Well, my son threw a fit. He didn't want to share a room with Grandma, not even on an air mattress, not even for 3 nights. She smells funny. So we reminded him of the original deal and offered to put the air mattress in the living room, but that wasn't enough. He'd have no privacy there. His sister offered to let him put the air mattress in her room, which she wasn't required to do, and that wasn't okay either. My husband and I offered to let him put the air mattress in our room, and he said no to that, because sharing a room with your parents, yuck, God bless the privilege, but whatever. Finally, I put my foot down and said, the condition of you having the bigger room was that you'd give it up for visiting family members. So one way or another, you're sleeping on an air mattress for 3 nights. You can choose if the air mattress goes in your room or our room or the living room or literally any room in this house. But you are sleeping on an air mattress while Grandma is here. Shortly after that confrontation, my husband came to me and suggested that we encourage my mom to stay in a hotel. I asked him who was going to pay for that hotel. Since she can't afford it, we can't afford to put her up, and he went silent. Now he's calling me the butthole for forcing our son to give up his room for all of the 3 nights, and suggesting that I tell my mom not to come at all since apparently none of us can afford it. Edit. I sincerely appreciate everyone's comments and judgments, but I have officially reached the point where every time I look at my notifications, it adds 2 every second without me even having to hit refresh. Clearly, I should have posted this on my main account, since apparently Reddit karma is important in some way. To follow the common Am I the Jerk trend and respond to some common themes. 1. Why don't I offer my own and my husband's bed to my mom? My husband has back problems, so also cannot viably sleep on an air mattress. I will not be going into detail on this. I also assume that it will be incredibly obvious to everyone why it is not viable for my husband and my mother to sleep in a bed together while I sleep on an air mattress. Not to mention that she would never allow me to give up my bed for her as a visitor. 2. Why doesn't my mom sleep on the couch or air mattress? She's 83 years old. Need I say more? 3. Anything involving my son and daughter switching rooms. My daughter is willing to help in the short term, but she seems a bit smug right now about the overall room choice, so she has no desire to switch rooms. And I will not force her because what kind of parent would I be if I hold my son to the letter of his deal, but go back on my word to my daughter? You may decide I'm the jerk, and I'll accept that, but I am not a hypocrite. 4. I am fully aware of the privacy a 12-year-old boy requires. We've had that conversation. And, at the prompting of a couple commenters, I have also recently asked my husband if there was a private conversation between him and my son that would in some way change the situation. He said no. Since I do not currently have any reason to believe my husband would lie to me outright, I'm considering that conversation closed. 5. Rest in peace, my DMs. Apparently, I didn't know that happened to 40 something married moms, but please know that I am not interested. Oh, goodness. This story is hilarious. Did someone actually suggest that her husband and mother sleep together? Seriously? Definitely not the jerk. Is it just me? Or does it seem as though giving your kids everything they want and cultivating a sense of entitlement has now become synonymous with being a good parent? What is the world coming to? I just don't get why this one is so controversial. If you disagree or have insight, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Now let's read some replies where I abuse my editing powers and selectively pick comments that agree with my judgment. Teehee. Cream cake lover said, not the jerk. Your son sounds a bit entitled if he can't survive 3 nights on an air mattress while his grandmother is there. Expecting him to share a bed or room with her would be excessive, but there are presumably other spaces in a 3-bedroom house where he could crash. Edit. To all the people saying you're the butthole, because a 12-year-old needs privacy, safe space, etc., I can't help but think how entitled a society we have become. In past decades, 2 to 3 kids would share a room through their entire child and teenage years, and even today, there are tons of kids living in miserable conditions in slums, refugee camps, or other similar situations. NOP is being called a butthole for telling her son he has to vacate his room for 3 nights while his 60 or 70 something year old grandma visits, so she doesn't have to sleep on an air mattress or stay in a hotel. Just wow. Jack Marsta said, not the jerk. This sub is obviously full of children who think 3 days on an air mattress, which he agreed to, is akin to some form of abuse that will leave him scarred well into his adult life. I think he can give his grandmother his bed and stop being a brat, which, nothing against him, but is fairly typical kid behavior. I occasionally had to do the same for my grandparents. In hindsight, it was obviously the right call. You're not putting your elderly parents on a darn air mattress. That's insanity. LA for the win said, not the jerk. Your son is old enough to know a deal is a deal. What message does it send to him and your daughter if you let him get away with throwing a tantrum to get out of the agreement? ETC Machine Elf said, not the jerk. Yes, this will likely seem very unfair to the daughter, who took the smaller room permanently for this exact reason. What was her sacrifice for? And how is this fair? Info. Did you ask your daughter how she feels about having this compromise disregarded? OP replied, to answer your question, I never considered disregarding the compromise, so no, I didn't ask her how she would feel. But thank you very much for the suggestion. I will be mentioning that to my husband tomorrow. Ooh, crap, my inner petty is coming out. Whoops, my bad. Okay, so our last two are shorter but deal with some funnier situations. Our third story asks, am I the jerk for telling my wife she was so close to getting her dream job? I'm a 33-year-old man and my wife is 27. Since the start of our relationship, my wife has been very particular about how things get done and tends to believe that she knows the one true correct way for anything related to anything. She has admitted that she can be a control freak. While this bothers me, it has never been a true deal breaker in our relationship. Very often, when I do just about anything, whether it be a household chore, assembling a piece of furniture, taking a picture, or writing a presentation for work in a field where I have a master's degree and she has no formal education, she'll do this thing where she'll condescendingly say, you were so close to getting it right, really drawing out the so close part. I've told her dozens of times that I'd prefer for her to stop because it sounds so condescending, but she insists that she's complimenting me. I do the dishes and place them out to dry in an orientation she doesn't approve of. You were so close. Next time, put them that way. I take a picture of her. You were so close. Oh, next time, angle the camera this way. I complete a project at work and show her the results. You were so close. Next time, write it this way. For the last 2 months, my wife has been undergoing an intensive hiring process for a job in our city. She works in a highly niche field and seldom finds job openings, and therefore she was ecstatic to have the opportunity for a relatively well paying job doing what she wants to do. She got to the very final stage where the company was considering two people, coincidentally, the other of whom was her college roommate. Well, on Friday, she got the call telling her thanks for her application, but blah, 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 record on file, all that jazz. My wife came to me crying. I immediately comforted her and, "You were so close," blurted out. Her head whipped up and she asked what I meant by that. I said she was so close to getting the job, but was just a bit off. She immediately walked out to stay at her friend's house, where she is currently sulking. She finally sent me a text this afternoon calling me a huge jerk. Was I unnecessarily being a jerk here? This is such a tough one for me. You know, I can be such a sucker for big life moments as not being a great time to make a point. However, it does sound like OP asked on many occasions that his wife stop with the so close business, and she just wouldn't listen. So maybe they're both jerks in this case. I don't know. The best judgment of all is given in the comments, though, so let's check it out. Invisigoth said, "Man, you were so close to being the butthole. But after all you've endured, not the butthole." Miss said, "I snorted. Have my upvote, you glorious bastard." Curious One added, "Brilliant. If OP's reaction was hugely jerkish, it was the result of a continuous series of cruel little microaggressions by his wife. Her calling him a jerk is an indictment of her own behavior. She made this and she earned this, not the butthole." F. Mason said, "Everyone sucks here. Your wife is a butthole for constantly giving minor backhanded insults. You are the butthole for kicking her while she's down. Y'all could benefit from some counseling." Traditional Tune said, "Actually, I don't find OP saying you were so close kicking the wife when she is down. I think the issue here is that the wife felt insulted because that is what she was doing to OP all along. The way I interpret OP's so close statement is that the wife was so close to getting the job, which is true. It was between her and her old roommate in the final round, and the roommate got the job. This goes to show that the wife has a guilty conscience." Kay said, "Not the jerk. You just confirmed that every time she's thrown that line at you, it was never meant as a compliment. She got a taste of her crappy medicine and didn't like it. It's too bad she didn't get the job, but maybe she'll realize how awful it sounds to say, 'You were so close.'" OP replied, "I want to be completely honest, as other people are asking, that it wasn't my intention to give her a taste of her own medicine. I just heard that phrase so many times in so many different situations that it was legitimately the first thing that came to mind. She really was so close. That's what I was trying to say, that she was so close. When she reacted with shock that I'd say such a thing with her, I do admit that I doubled down because I've heard it literally hundreds of times." Have you ever wondered who the moderators on Reddit are? Why this or that update gets deleted and disappears? Perhaps the odd judgments and decisions? Well, you get a sneak peek into the mind of a Reddit moderator in our last story. It's titled, "Am I the jerk for asking, not insisting, that my boyfriend switch meals with me when I don't like what I've ordered at a restaurant?" Using a throwaway account since I'm a founder and moderator on my city's subreddit, and my boyfriend could easily see this. I have been friends with my boyfriend for years, actually, together for about 3 months now. He's the sweetest guy, and I know he's been seriously hurt in the past. And I am so happy we are finally clicking after being flirt buddies since middle school. We are 25 now. Whenever we go out to eat, he always orders the most basic thing. 99% of the time, it's cheeseburger plain, ketchup on the side with honey mustard to dip his fries. He actually loves exotic food, but he says that menus and making choices stress him out, so he doesn't want to put thought into it. I love trying exotic things, and to me, that's the reason to go out to eat. To me, it's so exciting. My issue is, things always look and sound better than they turn out, and I decide that I actually just wanted a burger. So usually I'll ask him if he'll switch with me, and he always does, and he never complains. Most of the time, he even says how good his food was. To me, it's a win for both of us. It gets him out of his comfort zone, and we don't waste food. Last night, we both had to work really late, so we met up at a sports bar. They were having a calamari special, which sounded really good. He ordered a cheeseburger, as usual. I just wasn't feeling the calamari when it came out, so I asked if he'd switch with me. He said no. I asked him why not and said I didn't want it to go to waste. He said, then you shouldn't have ducking ordered it. I was like, excuse me? He then went into a tirade and said I treat him like a garbage disposal. He's a grown man. I'm being immature. Don't pin my crap on him, etc. I said it sounded like that was a rehearsed speech. He said maybe it was, since I insist on stealing his food every time we go somewhere. I started crying, and he said, don't start that nonsense with me. Here, have both meals. And he got up and walked out. He has not called or texted me, and it's 6 a.m., and I honestly thought he would call to apologize by now. I called my sister and near quote, you're a jerkhole for waking me up at 5:30, and he's going to see you as asking, as insisting. That's really crappy of you to put that pressure on him. And she basically hung up. Since she said it, am I the jerk? Edit. Well, he called and didn't even let me get a word in and said he needs a break and that if he hasn't been happy in the first 3 months, then the relationship isn't for him. I guess you were all proved correct, and I'm a butthole. And now, a single butthole. Yep, definitely a jerk. Gotta love how OP rationalized her selfish behavior as a win-win. She's a bit deluded thinking that it might be a thing to constantly push your partner out of their comfort zone. Cause I'm pretty sure that's not a thing people are looking for. Let's hit up the comments, where everyone takes the opportunity to dunk on the mod. Love this Redditor's name. Nina Simone Rules said, you're the jerk. Why is he the one that has to deal with your experimenting? If you don't like it, order something else, but make sure you pay for both. Coffee and Dashhound says, why isn't this just common sense? You're the jerk, obviously. Creeves9 said, what OP is telling us is she's not just inconsiderate in her romantic relationship. She's inconsiderate across the board. You're the jerk. H. Williams said, you're the butthole. It sounds like you go out, pick out crap you're not sure you'll like, and then ask, which feels to him like an insistence, for him to eat the crap you decided you didn't want. That would drive me nuts. And honestly, your boyfriend did that for way longer than I would have. Also, who calls someone else at 5:30 in the morning to complain about crap? Double, you're the jerk. Order food you like a grown-up. Hey, it's Ta said, also want to add that no is a full sentence. The first time he gave her a bit of resistance, she immediately asked why. OP has definitely been insisting this whole time. Heather said, exactly. She says she was just asking, not insisting. But when he finally says no, she immediately asks for an explanation of his refusal, says, excuse me, when denied, starts to cry when he further explains, and stays up till 6 a.m. awaiting an apology. I'm not demanding, but if you refuse, I'll require an explanation as to how dare you. Immediately throw a tantrum and await your apology. Edit. I forgot. She also tried to guilt trip him about wasted food when he wasn't eager to eat what she chose and doesn't want. Her version of just asking involves an interrogation, guilt tripping him for the consequences of her choices, acting aghast, then crying when she doesn't get her way, and eagerly awaiting his apology. Wow. If you've enjoyed the story and would like to hear more, consider liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment. Thanks, and bye for now.